Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we're going to talk about the next new moon in Pisces of March 10, a moon that is placed, as we're going to see, between illusion and the sudden awakening to reality, a moon that we can sort of picture as a sort of cosmic fuse for the next explosive eclipse season, which we can say will bring a very unstable energy, to say the least, in April. And in fact, we have reached the last moon of winter season, and spring will open the dance with the first eclipses of the year, the lunar eclipse of March 25 and the great North American solar eclipse of April 8. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is a good moment to do so, to stay updated on upcoming celestial events, which will be very dense and also very important. Now, let's talk first about the last changes in the sky. On February 28, we had a triple conjunction between Saturn, the Sun here, and Mercury, which is now dissipated, but we still have, with this new moon, the conjunction between the Sun and the Moon, of course, and Saturn happening. Now, on March 10, the same day of the new moon, Mercury enters Aries, changing sign, leaving Neptune behind. And not only that, but the chart also features a perfect square between Mars, here it is, Mars in Aquarius, and Uranus in Taurus. And this is perfect. It's happening at 19 and 51 of the fixed signs of Taurus and Aquarius. Now, this square, of course, represents the strongest tension in the chart. So we're going to talk about that very deeply. And Jupiter, on the other hand, is getting closer and closer to Uranus here, starting their conjunction, with a peak expected for April. And we know that this is a very destabilizing conjunction. Now, in short, the chart overall can be understood as a sort of fuse that is lit in the sky, foreshadowing the next eclipse of March 25. So in general, the chart will accompany us towards the spring equinox, which is an important seasonal transition where the forces of Archangel Gabriel will give the baton to those of Archangel Raphael, Raphael being the Lord of spring. And on top of that, we can get ready for Easter, because this year happens very early. We have Easter happening on Sunday, 31 of March. Now, this is a new moon, of course, and for this reason, it represents the beginning of the process of manifestation of the etheric forces on the Earth, which gradually, little by little, increase with the waxing moon up to the full moon. So in general, the new moon is a cosmic seed. We can sort of accompany this process of sort of sowing our new projects. It is a good time to start new things, basically. However, this new moon is all about preparing us to the next eclipse. In fact, if you think about it, the next eclipse is a full moon. It is going to be the full moon in Libra of March 25, right? And this is the new moon which is starting this process of manifestation. So we are basically, we have the opportunity to get ready for this eclipse so that we can embrace this change for the good. So the sun and the moon are located at 20 degrees and 15 minutes of Aquarius. They are here. And there's something interesting going on with this new moon, because this new moon is placed on the one hand between two constellations, between the constellation of Aquarius and the constellation of Pisces. And on the other hand, as you can see, the moon is in between Saturn on one hand and Neptune on the other. Now, in the chart, we find elements pointing at a sort of battle between two polarities. And on top of that, these planets, so Saturn, the Sun and Moon, and Neptune, 4 of them, they are in Pisces. And this creates what's called a stellium, a small stellium, which is a heap of planets, meaning that not only the chart is placed between two opposites, to planets that are very different, to constellations that are very different, but also there's a lot of Pisces energy. And Pisces is an energy of great emotional sensitivity and, unfortunately, lack of structure. We don't have much ground under our feet with Pisces. Now, on top of that, the planet that rules the stellium, that rules Pisces, so it is basically sort of ruling all these planets, it's by definition the lord of Pisces, and that's Jupiter. And Jupiter is beginning its destabilizing conjunction with Uranus, and this is not good for our stability, of course. Now, on top of that, we have the square, right, which creates tension and movement. So let's now talk about the meanings of this chart now that we know the general flavor of the energies at hand. Now, from a physical perspective, this is time for new beginnings, of course. This is a new moon. But the new moon, as we said, is placed between Saturn and Neptune. Now, on the one hand, Neptune represents a sort of chaotic creativity. So it's a confused and disorganized beginning, which can be, nevertheless, inspired by intuition. So we are going to start without knowing exactly what we're doing. We can feel these intuition coming from Neptune. But on the other hand, Saturn would like to slow things down, trying to planning before taking action, having more structure. So who's winning, basically? Well, since the moon is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in conjunction with Uranus, this fresh new start cannot be delayed because Jupiter, first of all, tends to amplify things, and Uranus makes them happen suddenly, quickly. So basically, Neptune wins. So we are supposed to follow our intuition, to go with the flow without relying too much on planning and scheduling out things. Now, on top of that, again, we have this square between Mars and Uranus. And by the way, Mars is in Aquarius, so this tension is not too bad because Mars in Aquarius is very similar to the overall energy of Uranus. So they both want to bring about change. So this is a very dynamic chart, but there's a price to pay, and we know that this is instability, also two emotions with Pisces, right? We have in general this sense of haste, this sense of imminent change. And so we cannot slow things down. So this time, this Saturn represents a good, rock, a sort of stability that we could count on, but the rest of the chart is saying, sorry, Saturn, we're going for it quickly, suddenly, and with this emotional drive. So also note that this square, this configuration between Mars and Uranus may also represent a struggle, a longing for ideals, for equality, social justice, all Aquarian significations, right? And this can be true, especially in regard to the ongoing war conflict. So this taking action may regard like bringing this equality of social justice for people that are struggling there. So in short, Saturn is unable to slow down things, to do what Saturn would like to do, to plan and schedule things, especially with Mercury, because this Mercury is in Aries, right? And Mercury in Aries represents a warrior mindset, because Aries is the zodiac sign of the warrior, and Mercury is the planet of the mind. So we have a warrior mindset here, but we don't have enough mental clarity to schedule things because we have this conjunction between Mercury and Neptune. Yes, it's an out of sign conjunction, so it's weaker. Nevertheless, Neptune is all about creativity and chaos, and so the mind is a little bit, dizzy, confused by this Neptunian influence. So my advice here would be to create moments of detachment, moments of clarity, of inner calm, in order to cope with this flow of events, with this flow of emotions. So they could drag us too far, and they could bring us towards sort of doing without thinking first. So proceed with caution, guys. Now, from a psychological perspective, the moon placed between Saturn and Neptune can be understood differently, with Neptune, on the one hand, bringing, as we said, great emotional waves to the collective, but they are also there's also a connection to dreams, to fantasies or illusions, especially with Mercury, the mind, in conjunction with Neptune. So in general, Neptune can be very deceptive, right? Whereas Saturn in Pisces instead leads us to sort of a form of awakening from these fantasies, to a lucidity, to a reality check, to looking at things for what they really are. Again, Saturn is the good guy in this chart. But who wins from this perspective? This time, Saturn is going to make it, because this chart is all about awakening. An awakening that follows specifically a real impact with reality, a shock that wakes us up to confront what's there, right? So there's a raw awakening expressed in the chart by Jupiter, Lord of Pisces, in conjunction with Uranus and this square. Because, we cannot slow things down, we cannot plan things, but we're going to go for it. And this tension is all about, having this awakening, this shock with reality, so that we can really understand what we're doing, right? And in this regard, Saturn is waking us up. So this is compatible with, this square is compatible with the Saturn. And for this reason, we can say that from this other perspective, Saturn is winning here. Now, of course, from, an emotional point of view, this little stellium in Pisces can be too much sometimes. So again, the advice here is to withdraw from this flow of emotions every now and then, to create a sort of safe and calm space in which you don't feel too pushed and pulled by external circumstances. So there's this gesture that I am suggesting now. So this gesture of withdrawing. And that's precisely what Pisces usually do, because, too much emotion, too much drama, they need to disappear sometimes to unplug from reality, to recharge their batteries. So I am recommending it as a method for coping with this chart, because this excess of Piscean energy can be too much, and we can use it. We can do what Pisces usually do. So we are basically using a Piscean gesture to confront too much Pisces energy. Now, from a spiritual point of view, we find this, again, this is a sort of pattern in the chart. We have this being placed in between two contrasting forces if we look at the constellations. So we have the Sun and Moon exactly placed in between the constellation of Aquarius and that of Pisces. Now, in astrosophy, specifically, the constellation of Aquarius represents the cherubim, and they are called the spirits of harmony on the one hand. Whereas the constellation of Pisces represents the thrones, and they are called the spirits of the will, specifically the will of God the Father. Now, this means that we are spiritually placed here between the harmony of the cherubim, who wants to bring brotherhood into the world through the compassion, the sensitivity of tropical Pisces, right? And on the other, the will of God the Father, who instead puts humanity before our collective karma. Now, this is interesting. In astrosophy, Pisces is the very constellation of karma. And we need to confront our collective karma in order to face, of course, the consequences of our actions. So we can make a difference. This is important to understand. We have a role in the universe. We can really make a difference from a spiritual perspective, especially dealing with our thoughts and our emotions, our feelings. Because from a spiritual perspective, thoughts and feelings are real things as the physical objects around us. And this means that we have a responsibility towards the collective astral mood, if you will, that we are creating again and again with our thoughts, with our feelings. For this reason, it is very important to work on ourselves to improve the overall quality of the astral sphere, the sort of climate, the quality, if you want, of the air of the spiritual world, especially nowadays that we are heading towards the first eclipse season of the year, during which I remember you that the dragon forces are released. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to support my work, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.